Hey guys, welcome to my channel. My name is Will, and something about me is that I work a fast food job, and with a fast food job I obviously deal with various different types of people every single day, most of which end up kind of sucking in one way or another. The good customers are rare and few. And another thing with that job is that customers really love to give their input on the job that you're doing, and if they think you suck, they have no hesitation in telling you. And sometimes you have one of those days where you just know that somebody is going to say something. And sometimes I let curiosity get the better of me, and I decide to go onto Google and read the Google reviews for the place I work, just to see what people have been saying about the environment of which I work. One day after a particularly terrible shift, I went onto Google to read some of the reviews for my establishment, and I saw our newest review was from a man, and the review was 1 star and it just said sucked, with no further context or anything else given. So it sent me down a rabbit hole of reading reviews that this guy had left on other establishments to see what type of person he was. Spoiler alert, he didn't seem like a great one. And on top of that, I thought it would be fun to just read reviews from several different places that I've worked and just see what's happening. So that's what I'm going to be doing for this video. I'm going to be starting with my current place of employment, which has an overall Google review of 4.2 stars, which isn't too bad. Most of our negative reviews honestly aren't even like about the customer service or anything. It's about the cleanliness of the store, because we have a really old building. It's been around at least as long as I've been alive, maybe somewhere close to that, and it hasn't been remodeled, so the store itself is kind of falling apart, and no matter how much you clean it, it still has remnants of dirt. And we are getting a remodel in a couple months, but most of our negative reviews are about the cleanliness, not even like customer service or things given in that aspect. So it was kind of hard for me to find negative reviews to read. The point of me doing this is to go back to the times I worked there and give my input on whether I think the customer's right or if they're just bullshitting us. That's the point of this. I actually only found one negative one from my current place of employment that I even can speak on, and it was 1 star, and it said, "This is the second time we've been to this location in the past several weeks. The first time was so-so, took the food to go, we're missing both fry orders. The second time we ate in. The whole make line was disgusting, crusty, and all the foods were mixed in other foods. After getting our food, we tried to use the men's restroom, which was flooded with no sign or anything on the door. Used the women's instead, and it stunk horribly. Then noticed the floor behind the counter and couldn't believe that I'd allowed my family to eat at the restaurant. Every table in the restaurant had food in some sort on it, and the staff members looked like they just climbed out of a dumpster. Truly disappointing." What's funny is I remember this day so clearly. We were understaffed, there was only 3 employees, and the men's restroom was flooded, and we were aware of that issue, and we'd actually called maintenance. They were on the phone, they were trying to get there, and at one point we did have a sign on the men's bathroom, but we weren't allowed to lock the bathroom for legal reasons. We had to have a bathroom available for them to use, so we weren't allowed to just lock it up. We did have a sign warning them at one point though. Wouldn't surprise me if someone took it down. And maintenance was actively called and on the way. We did have a customer complain about it to our face, to which we told them, yeah, maintenance has been called. They're on the way to deal with that, but there was really nothing else we could do. It was out of our hand. Admittedly, the floor behind the counter probably was a little dirty because we were in a rush, but I'll tell you, the second the rush ended, we swept everything and cleaned it really well. So they probably saw us during our active rush and decided to just put in a complaint because we were getting slammed and weren't as on top of sweeping as we probably should have been. Obviously, we were trying to keep the grill clean and stuff. And I remember texting this to my coworkers being like, they said it looked like we just crawled out of a dumpster. And all of us were reviewing who was working that shift, and we're like, we did not. We absolutely did not. We didn't. That was just an unnecessary dig at us, and it was not appreciated. And then the other one is the one I mentioned that I saw from just a couple weeks ago, and it said sucked with 1 star, no further context. And that sent me on a deep dive of this guy's reviews. And does this affect me personally? No, but I wanted to read some of the reviews of other establishments that this gentleman has left. He left a review for Ross's, and he said, "What a disappointment this company is. Walk in and it's like a thrift store. Never will return." Okay, sir, what did you think Ross's was? It's called Dress for Less. What? What did you expect when you were walking into that? Sir, I don't know what you were expecting by the title, but at an Applebee's, he left a review that just said horrible and incompetent. I assume he meant incompetent, because that's a little bit of bad grammar, sir. Once again, no further context, just that. So at a place called The Landing Eatery and Pub, he said, another disappointing service, definitely fix this problem, FC of KC. I literally don't know what that means, but okay. He actually did have a couple good reviews I thought I would share to just showcase he's not a completely horrible person. What were his glowing reviews, you might wonder? Well, at Holiday Inn, it said, not bad, with 4 stars. And at IHOP, with 3 stars, it said, okay. Not even like okay, spelled out, just O and K. That's all. Another one at a Rail Sports Bar and Pool Hall. He said it was okay, besides the loser wannabes playing pool. You know who you are. You're in the atmosphere for everyone. I can see this place going out of business within 5 years. Still terrible ownership, out of touch with its customers. Well, sir, it sounds like you were at a pool hall. So it makes sense that there are people trying to play pool. Sounds like you're a little jealous you're not in their social circle. Moving on. At Twin Peaks, it said I ordered a house salad, $4.99 I think. I had grilled chicken put on the top of it, $5.99 I think, or more. Then it was only 6 little pieces of chicken. Does anyone see the problem here? Fix this issue and others before I push for you to close. Piss poor price gouging. It was the before I push for you to close that did it for me. Not even like, oh, I was disappointed with the amount of chicken I received, I'm not coming back. Just before I push for you to close. Because you were disappointed about the amount of chicken you were given. When in most restaurants I've worked, there's a certain portion size you have to follow in serving. Moving on, this is the last place I worked before my current place. And it was really a shit show at the end. So I think I've read this one in a video before, but it had 1 star and it said, we're staying at the Holiday Inn. My husband went to this place because it's next door. He ordered a roast beef sandwich, got me the brisket sandwich, which is usually amazing no matter what state you're in. And then he ordered the plain boneless chicken tenders. 20 some odd dollars later, his sandwich and mine were lukewarm at best. The curly fries were cold and there was no chicken tenders for the dog. You would think making up to $15 an hour you could make warm sandwiches, spread the sauce evenly on the sandwiches, not just drop a bulb and fulfill the entire order. Not worth driving back over, but won't go back. I can't stand Taco John's, but at least it was hot and everything was in the order. I made $10 an hour starting as a bank teller, $15 an hour as a supervisor over dispatchers at a phone company. These people are getting close to are actually $15 an hour and mess it up. Just a thought, try acting like you care. Make it how you would like it. And I was cracking up when I read this at the time because I was like, $15 where? $15 where? I was making minimum wage when I worked here. The bare minimum you could make, I was making. I was not making close to $15 an hour. I was not making $15 an hour. At the very end of my time of employment here, they upped my pay to $15 in an attempt to try and get me to stay. But for the most duration of the 2 years I worked there, it was like right at $10, $11 at best. Obviously we should still care about our jobs, and I did, but a little unnecessary. This next one says, the staff like to talk about the other staff members, specifically this person, the nighttime manager, and I have proof that she refers to her staff as the F word. And then the staff like to take the cheese bag and squirt cheese at each other at close time instead of doing their nightly work. Sad place. Will never be back. That was so true. That was a huge reason why I left this job. My staff was great. I loved the people I worked with for the majority of my time there. But once my GM left and we brought in a whole new wave of staff, it was terrible. The manager, in reference to this, was mean to everybody who had lasted from like the period before she got there. She hated anybody who wasn't like part of her group of newcomers that had come in, and she would loudly talk trash about everybody. And those stupid cheese bags were so irritating. I didn't work nights, so I wasn't there to witness this, but I wouldn't be surprised. The place really went downhill. Moving on to my time working at McDonald's. I worked at 2 different McDonald's, and this is just accumulation of both of the locations. They were under the same management. This was around the time I worked there. It said, terrible, the lobby's open to take your money, but kicked out in the middle of our meal. No one said anything when we sat down and grabbed our food. Lobby sign said open till 11 p.m. Small sign says temporarily closed, not going to this management again. And then you'll see in the attached picture, it has like the regular hours listed on the door as most establishments do. But then, drive-through, takeout, and McDelivery only. Our dine-in seating area is temporarily closed. If ordering inside, please take your order to go. Thanks for visiting us. It says right there on the door, right there in the picture, that the dining area is closed. I remember from working at this establishment, we had to keep our doors open because we got a lot of truck drivers who couldn't fit their trucks through the drive-thru. So we kept the doors open so they could order inside, but they had to take it to go because this was in like the peak of COVID. So what happened was they probably just didn't see you go and sit down because they assumed that you read the sign. And then when they realized you were sitting, had to tell you to leave because it's not permitted. Yeah, open till 11 p.m. But their sign blatantly says that you're not supposed to be there. So I don't see what the mix-up or miscommunication is. Like, this is literally just you being petty because you can't eat inside, even though the sign blatantly says if you order inside, you have to take it to go. Make it make sense. This next one says, it's a little hard to read in this picture, but it says 1 free item per visit. My 3 boys got free Happy Meals. I was told by the manager that we were only allowed to use 2 at a time, even though there were 5 people total. When I asked the manager what their name was because they were not wearing a name tag so I could go corporate, they refused to give me their name. Really fantastic customer service. And I admittedly am so confused as to what the issue is. So it looks like they have one coupon. I don't even know what for. It says 1 free item per person per visit. And we're only allowed to use 2 at a time even though there's 5 people total. So do they each have one? I'm confused. I don't understand what's going on, but yeah, usually when you have like a coupon or a deal like that, you can only use 1 at a time. I don't know what's going on. Okay, this one says, came in before closing at 8 p.m. Traveling with my family to get home. Ordered right at 8 p.m. and felt rushed to do it. Was told closing at 8 so to get order in the next minute. Ordered and could hear the complaints of making the order. Heard complaints about having to make more fries. Left and gotten cargo. While food being passed out, complaints began about how salty the fries were. They were so salty you could not eat them. The buns were dry from not being warmed. Afraid to eat the food as did not know what had been done to it. Now, while I don't think this excuses having a bad attitude to customers, I will point out you admitted that you came right at their closing time. You're not going to get the best service in the world when you come right at the time they're expected to close down the store. I'm sorry to say it to you. Should we still be professional and polite? Absolutely. And that's a mistake on them for like blatantly letting their complaints be heard. But you are kind of an asshole if you pull up right at the exact time of closing and expect to have the best service ever, because usually around that time there's a lot of pre-closing that goes on, and so they're trying to get the store ready to be shut down. This one says, I went through the drive-thru, I complained of the prices. The guy taking my order didn't try and bundle my order. He took off an item without asking me. He didn't use empathy with me as a customer. I also wasn't asked if I wanted sauce for chicken nuggets, nor ketchup or napkins. Will not be returning to this store, or might not at all. If they're paying more for these employees, they should work for their money. I get the sauce thing to an extent, but there's literally nothing we can do about the prices. This store in general also always has a lot of deals. Like if you download the app on your phone, there's always deals they have that try and offer customers the chance to have discounts. But there's nothing we can do about the set prices. That's up to corporation. And so if there's nothing we can do to bundle it, then there's nothing we can do on our end. We don't make the prices, we just enforce them. Just because you're complaining about the prices doesn't mean that we can automatically give you a discount just because you hate them. And this last one says, I arrived at 10:20 to order breakfast. The line was long. I didn't get up to the window to order until 10:32. I asked for breakfast since I'd been in line well before that menu closed, but he said they already switched over to lunch. Very upset that I wasted my time with the lack of customer service. Will not be back. This does suck, but once again, that's a management thing. I remember from my experience working there, like when the time shifted, it shifted and you had to shift. Like that's just the rules of it. Like if somebody pulled up and like was cashed out by 10:30 or like started ordering before 10:30, then you could take their order. But like when it switched to 10:30, like we were done, and that's just the rules it was, especially during COVID. It had to be strictly enforced for whatever reason was behind it, I don't know. And it kind of sucked for us too, because we kind of wanted to serve breakfast all day long too. It's just management rules I don't completely understand. So like, yeah, when it switched, we had to switch. Like there was no lenience. Just like if somebody ordered at 10:28, we were still obligated to say, I'm sorry, we're still on breakfast for 2 more minutes. And they would have to wait 2 minutes. It kind of sucked to deal with, but that's the way it was. And that's how we had to enforce it. It was one of the most annoying things about working there, honestly, especially a morning shift, like working through the switch, because so many people would get so irritated, and there was nothing we could do about it because it was up to corporate, not us. But yeah, that is all of the Google reviews from the places I've worked at. It's always an interesting experience seeing what people have to say and what they feel. I'll see you guys in my next video. Peace out.